Hey, what's up everybody? It's Thursday on Genderqueer Chat. This week's topic is from Facebook, and I just want to really quickly say we are in the midst of making a new topic list, so if there's anything you've ever wanted us to talk about or discuss, or you're just interested or whatever, leave it comments on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, email genderqueerchat@gmail.com. So this week's topic: what are your thoughts on having no genderqueer or trans role models in mainstream culture, and how does this affect our self-esteem, etc.? So, I tend to think way too hard about things and make things way more complicated than they need to be. So I have somehow thought this question into this really complicated mess in my mind. So first of all, I sort of want to think, what is a role model? And I think that as individuals, it is really, to pick somebody to be a role model, I think is a pretty big task for the person who is, behaving as the role model. And I'm not sure that, I don't know. I'm not sure about this whole role model thing. But yeah, and the other thing on that question is mainstream culture. What exactly qualifies as mainstream culture? Because I feel like in this day and age, people's interests tend to drive, what they're drawn to, what types of shows they're drawn to, and what types of, industries they're drawn to. And I think that mainstream culture and different avenues of mainstream culture, some are very, gender diverse and some are not. For instance, you would think of TLC, the Learning Channel, and they have all those the Duggars and those Christian people, that, in a way, those are mainstream culture, and yeah, there's no good in that. And then you've got, in the opposite direction, America's Next Top Model, and, most of the people on that show are gender variant in some way. And then you've got, I was trying to think of, various people who have sort of come out, within the realm of mainstream culture. Obviously, the first one I thought of was Chaz Bono. He clearly, I think he did, a documentary, and he went around to, every talk show, ever, and talked about being trans and everything, which I think was a really good thing, for the world. And there was also this, German pop star, a few years ago. She was this, teenager who was a pretty cool kid, and I remember seeing a few, I guess she was on talk shows or whatever it was, a few interviews with her where she was just so, I have no idea if the music sucked or not, but, she was really, well put together and really well spoken and really just mature, and, so she would have, I'm sure she made a very good role model for lots of young people. I think that one of the issues as well with this topic is what defines, unless somebody is actually talking about being genderqueer or being trans, it's not really a part of, whatever the reason they would be in mainstream culture, unless it's sort of a fictional character. So I started thinking about fictional characters, and I thought about the show Glee. They had a kid who was, I'm not sure if they were transgendered or if they just dressed in drag or what it was, but they were pretty, I actually watched a few of those episodes, and that kid was, really, really talented, really amazing. The other shows, Degrassi, had a trans guy, a fictional character on that show as well. Yeah, and when I think about sort of people in mainstream culture that are less, less sort of like entertainment value and more, you know, I'm Canadian, so this is something too. You don't talk about gender. Like, if you're out in mainstream culture, just doing your thing, just doing what you do and living your life, it's not like you're out there sort of being a gender crusader. So somebody that I have a lot of respect for, and I think is pretty cool, is somebody who I don't, I have no idea what they identify as or how they identify, but she doesn't fit the mold of femininity. So whether or not she identifies as genderqueer, there is a model in her for, stepping outside of the femininity mold. And that is Chantal Hibert from the Toronto Star, journalist for the Toronto Star, and she's on At Issue on CBC. Another Canadian sort of role model, who is somebody who, again, probably, I have no idea if they identify as genderqueer or trans, but is Gail Prosser-Craig, and she's the woman. She was on, I think, probably more famous for being on Canada's Worst Handyman, being the expert handyman on that show, and she actually started a contracting business that hired women. So that is something, I don't know if she identifies as genderqueer or not, but she is somebody who is, bending gender and, has done a really good job of, breaking down some of the barriers in a very sexist, work field. And so whether or not she identifies as genderqueer, some of her actions are certainly, or her influence is certainly in line with genderqueer interests. So, I think that there are, there's so many people, there's so many people in the fashion industry, whether you consider that mainstream culture or not. I think if you're at all interested in fashion, then, that would be considered mainstream culture for you, but maybe not for everybody. And the other, what was the other thing I was thinking of? Oh, back when Oprah was on the air, she always had, she had, the pregnant transgendered man, and he was, they were all over the magazine covers and everything, and, there's I feel like there's not a shortage of trans people in mainstream culture, or gender bendy, whatever. I think it sort of depends on what you're interested in, because that's gonna sort of determine what types of things you're drawn to. People interested in shows like Glee or shows like Degrassi, are gonna get that, get those role models, but, people who aren't as interested, people like me who are sort of rather watch, the Discovery Channel or whatever, then people like Gail Prosser-Craig is, she's, whether she's genderqueer or not, she's breaking down some gender stuff. So, anyway, I have to end this because it's getting on 10 minutes, so sorry I rambled, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.